Are you ready to listen to something beautiful? I'm Charlie,
And I'm Cory.
and this week we will be discussing the newest album from Miley Cyrus entitled Something Beautiful. It's a visual album. Neither of us have had a chance to see the film associated with the album, so we're just going to be talking about the songs. So just keep that in mind. I do want to see the visual component of it. I'm very curious what it's there for, but we haven't gotten a chance to view that yet. But with Miley, there's always a lot to discuss just musically because she's a wild card, as she said.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit to see this too. I'm just so very curious. There's small musical and just sound clues or like that are included in here. Sounds that are included inside these songs, and it's like, what is on screen right now? I've found myself very 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 ready to see this, but unfortunately not yet. We will.
Yeah,
We're
we
doing. We're
definitely will.
you
As
know.
soon as it's put out, when we're able to, we'll be right on it.
Yes, we will.
Yes, this is her ninth
Yeah.
studio album, which that's pretty crazy, but she did start young enough, and that's ninth. That's not counting Hannah Montana, by the way.
Oh, really?
No, I'm that does not count Hannah Montana. Just as Miley Cyrus and so many other side projects. If you, I do prefer you listen to this podcast, of course, but if you want to hear Miley talk about her albums, a Spotify show called Every Single Album did an interview with Miley Cyrus. It's over 2 hours long. It's very interesting because she does discuss every album and you get to hear some of her favorite songs all the way up through this newest one. So if you have any interest in Miley Cyrus, I would definitely recommend checking it out. And she's a great interview subject too.
Yes, she is.
So that alone, it's time well spent, I think. But I think that podcast interview really drove home that this is where Miley Cyrus is. It was showing the evolution from Disney teen star to this something beautiful. And they were telling her, well, we think this is your best album yet, but to understand that, you have to understand the journey. And we'll decide if it's her best album yet. But I do think that the journey is an interesting thing to consider because she has had just such a wild career, and that's part of why I like talking about her because she's just gone in so many different directions, especially for a former teen star. I mean, no other Disney star has an album like there's no Selena Gomez and her dead pets. You're not going to see that, but there is a Miley Cyrus and her dead pets. So it's very, she's just always a fascinating figure.
She is. She's so fascinating, and that journey is a real curiosity of mine during this album too, because in her own words, paraphrased, but her own words, that this album is based around healing in some way, and I really searched going through here trying to figure out without her telling me word for word what the healing was for her. And we'll talk about it as we go through, but there could be a couple different kinds of healing in here, and I like that. Hopefully, she kept it open as far as going through.
I think she purposely kept it open. She definitely seems like somebody who wants her fans to take the songs for what they are.
Heard.
Especially, but more so this time around, because we also covered Endless Summer Vacation when that came out a couple years ago. And then I felt like she was more forthcoming about the inspiration for some of the songs. I will
Heard.
say that in comparison to now. Not that we haven't gotten some great tidbits from her about some of these tracks. I absolutely think we have, but I think with Summer Vacation, I think partially because she didn't have the whole film associated with it, we did get a bit more insight into what inspired all of the songs.
Yeah, that's true. She was very forthcoming. I mean, like pinpoint spot on. Here's what these songs were inspired by. Where here we get this, and I like it because of the way this album is set up and with the visual accompaniment. But she really is more mysterious is the word I use in her telling of inspiration, and maybe even more just broad range, you know, do with it what you will type of thing here. And I enjoy that.
I do as well. And this is interesting in terms of this is the follow up to her most successful release in quite some time, which was Endless Summer Vacation. Because Flowers was kind of a comeback hit for her of sorts. Because she hadn't gone away, she was still doing stuff, but it was her first chart topper in almost a decade. So with that song, she really did come back into the consciousness in a way that she hadn't in a while.
Put a pin in that because I've got a note later on that I really think might be a hidden gem here, an Easter egg. Maybe it's another one of those times where I'm reaching way too far, but
Yeah.
remember that Flowers was um, a real get back tune for her.
That it was, but I do think that she has been open. She said like winning a Grammy for Flowers meant so much to me, and I feel so much more validated and free now
Heard,
because of the success of Flowers. And it's kind of a similar pattern to what we saw before with her. With after the success of Bangers, she put out Miley
heard.
Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. And this isn't to that level, but that was a different, wilder era for her, of course.
Yeah, you could see that strength in her when Flowers and the summer was going on. You could really see I could really see this positive energy and feel this positive energy from her, whether it be in media, whether it be performances. There was a real, almost like I made it moment, which for me was like, why you're such a superstar, but you could really see that it meant a lot to her.
Well, actually, in her interview, she made a very good point. Like she said, well, when I was a child performing, I was being compared to adults.
Heard.
And I thought, like, that's a good point. She said, like, I mean, I wasn't being told I was good for a kid. People were comparing me to Lady Gaga. And I thought, like, that's
Wow,
a
that's true.
valid point because she was being compared to adult peers who had more experience than her just through age. And I do think that she's easy to root for because, and I mean, I remember, I mean, whether you saw Hannah Montana or not, you knew who she was. She was an inescapable figure, and she's been scrutinized a lot. So I do think she's having a victory lap of sorts here. I think Flowers was a victory lap in response to some of the backlash that she's gotten over time.
Heard.
Um,
I always have her older too, and that's not a knock. I just she just appeals to me, and it just feels like she does have an older soul in my opinion. But I mean, she's 32 years old. That's and on your ninth album, like, whew, and that's not Hannah Montana included in there, which blows my mind.
yeah, it is insane. That it is. But yeah, this album came out now a couple of weeks ago, end of May, and it doesn't. I don't think her entire point was to make another Flowers level hit with this album, as we'll discover. But it's done okay so far, and it debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, 44,000 units. It fell a lot in the second week. I don't know if it'll be on the charts soon, which is well, kind of a shame, but it's a weird time for pop music. We'll discuss some of that soon enough, because some of what people are choosing to make popular, I'm not understanding.
Heard.
Let's just say that, and she's made it in the top 10 in several other countries, but she again, I think she's just at the point where it's like I'm famous enough that I can make whatever music I want regardless of whether or not it is or isn't a hit. Because she even said successive flowers allowed her to make this album.
There you go. There you go.
And that being said, I am ready to get into this bad boy and see if we can determine if it's her best album yet, which some are saying.
Let's get at it.
So the album begins with Prelude, which is a spoken word intro. A lot of different sounds on this one. There's this and a couple of other interludes. This one at least has spoken word on it more so. I do think these would definitely be elevated by the visual. I really do want to see, like, what did we have in mind for this?
A
And
100%.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, that's just kind of where I am with that. Um, I mean, I think it's good that we're setting up the album if she wants it to be a concept album of sorts, if that's what she's trying to go for. It makes sense to have this, but I wouldn't call it an essential track, but I just want to see the visual for it.
Yeah, it's a wild one. A lot of different sounds, like you said. For me, Stranger Things vibes right off the jump. Um, I like the spoken here. I don't know if it has as much weight as I thought it was going to have the first time I heard it, but it's cool. It's a great setup. Again, and we're gonna say this a bunch because we haven't seen it, but I would love to see what the accompaniment is here, because I think it's this one. Towards the end, we almost get like some gunshots or something, like in the background, and I want to know if it's truly gunshots or if it's just some kind of wild sonic reverb there. But there's definitely a lot going on. We end in this beautiful climax of saxophones and symphonic, almost like an overture to this film, to this accompaniment. So it's a pretty neat one. It's a cool way to start this off. This, if anything, for me, it let me know, if I had no prior knowledge of what was going on with this album, it let me know that it was just a concept take. You know what I'm saying? Like an art piece. It let me know right away with this that this is not Endless Summer. You know?
No, it's definitely not Endless Summer. And if that wasn't clear already, I think it's even more clear with the next song, which is the title track, Something Beautiful. Very jazzy song here for our opening track. And for this point in time, just based on the last couple of releases, I wasn't expecting a ballad as the opener for a Miley Cyrus album. Just wasn't quite what I was expecting. And it really, this one took a lot of time for me to get used to as an opener. I felt like it's a cool song, got a lot of moving parts that I think come together well for the most part. But I just thought this isn't working for me as an opener. But after a few listens, I do think it clicked because it does show, well, we are going to have a variety of different sounds here. And this isn't going to be like the last couple of albums. So you're getting the ballad, and I have to say, I think her voice sounds fantastic on this song. First off, it's one of the best vocal performances I think I've heard from her ever.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Like, coming into this, the first part of this song, I'll take a whole album of that. I'll take a whole album. Her voice is crisp, on point. She's hitting these beautiful, beautiful melodies, just spot on. I really love it. I enjoy the way this whole song goes. It's daunting again without a full package here, but my imagination goes to the first scene of maybe a movie where you get a little snippet of a bunch of scenes, and this was like that for me, where I'm getting this soulful ballad, and then I'm punched in the face by very erratic and loud sounds. We go through, and then we come back, and we go back and forth like that a few times. It's for 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. It's definitely used up all of its time, and I agree with you. that with so many moving parts and this length, it could have gone awry, but it really does work well here. And even more so, out of the prelude, set up a feeling, set more of a feeling up about what this album is. It's not, if it would have just been a simple ballad here, I don't think the weight of what ultimately this album is for me would be there at this number 2. So it not only does its job, but it does it really, really well. I enjoy this.
Yeah, so do I. And if you do want an upbeat song, you're gonna get it with the next track, which is End of the World, which was the lead single for the album. And very disco inspired. Miley said it was influenced by her mom going on vacation without her. She said it felt like the end of the world to them, because I guess they just weren't used to that. So, respect for that, I guess. And she wrote a song about it because that's what she does. And I think this is a fantastic single. Honestly, this is what I would expect from the person who did Party in the USA as a teenager. I would expect the kind of party song like this. This really gives me that vibe a bit. Not entirely lyrically, but in its overall sound. That's what I'm getting. I feel like it's an appropriate party song for an adult to be doing. I guess, like, not teenage Miley Party in the USA. This is evolved Miley doing this, and I really appreciate it. And got some cool references in there, like McCartney and some help from my friends. I love that line.
Oh, yeah.
She always puts that in there, and I. Disregarding rest of the album, I think this is a great single, and I don't think it got enough promotion. I don't think enough people knew about it, but it really kind of has underperformed, and I think it's deserved to do a lot better. It only charted at 52 on the Hot 100, and I'm having an issue with the fact that Benson Boone's Moonbeam Ice Cream song charted higher than this. That's my point. That's what I'm having a problem with. This should, at the very least, be in the top 40.
Yeah, it's definitely a top 40 song. I don't know if it's the healthiest single on here, but only because for me, I get a little bit, I'm going to say this without knowing that it has a visual accompaniment as a song, especially coming out of Something Beautiful. It has this almost datedness to it where it reminds me a bit of an 80s pop track, and it sits a little flat for me there. She does it beautifully, don't get me wrong, but as a whole, it's earwiggy in the wrong way for me. I tend to it's a grower on me, don't get me wrong, but I tend to early on in the listening for this really give it a bam 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 bam. Just I'm going along with it, and it didn't really wow me. She does spectacular work on it. She sounds great on this album, period. But yeah, it has a little bit of a datedness to it where it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't grab me like the rest of this album does. Maybe that's my hot tea take for today. It's not. It's not. But it might be the start of my hot tea takes for today.
Maybe hot tea take for like this first segment of the album.
There you go. There you
first
go.
portion. Yeah. There we have
not a terrible song. Nowhere near a bad song. A very good song. But just my take on it.
Just not a single for you.
Yeah, not from me.
Yeah. Well, to each their own. That's why we do this. But next up, we've got More to Lose, which she told Zane Lowe the story about the creation of this song. For those who don't know, Miley Cyrus's godmother is Dolly Parton, of all people. So, of course, Dolly Parton is going to ask her what she's doing with her music. And she asked her, like, do you have a hit? And Miley just made up the title More to Lose on the spot. Hadn't written the song yet. So she called her writer Michael Pollack to write with her, and they did it because it's like, well, I told Dolly I have a song called "More to Lose," so I have to write it, and I just love the boldness of that. Like, hey, Miley is bold. I'll give her that. That's one thing I love about her. Her boldness, and as she puts it, unapologeticness.
There you go.
I
There you go.
but they wrote this song over the new year, and honestly, this to me is the post divorce breakup song that I think people have been waiting for from Miley Cyrus. I don't think that was on Endless Summer Vacation, really. And that's fine. The album was Endless Summer Vacation, and she was in a different headspace. Like, actually, she was feeling a little sassier with that era and with Flowers. This one, she's actually going there and showing the effects of it, which, of course, it would. It was a decade long on again, off again relationship. And I feel like she did it well. It's got a familiar feel to it, but it also sounds like what we've gotten so far on this album. And I do want to give a special shout out to BJ Burton for his work on this song. I mean, saxophone and violin programming and the modular piano, I feel all those sounds really elevate this song a lot for me. So shout out to him.
Yeah, they do. It's really well produced and put together. Orchestrated is a word that I'll use here. Well orchestrated. I love her voice here. To what you were saying about, we've heard this sound on this album. We have, and at first listen, it was a little off-putting. But when I start to put it into the context of where we're going next and what that means for the first four songs, or really the first three songs in a prelude here, they are maybe in my concept of just a third of this album that are self-contained inside of here. So More to Lose, as I listen more and more and put together what this album is, More to Lose is almost to me like a finale for this first part here. And it works even more like that with its constant crescendos and really its chord progressions, because we go from this major to like or minor to a major. Long story short, we go up in the ascending chord progression here, and it really works well. Almost like a, well, not almost. This is the healing piece for me. This is the one that I could figure out. This is definitely that post-divorce song that we have been looking for, and it really works. And there is a bit of finale, but there is a bit of victory by the end of this inside of the healing. So I dig it. I dig it. It's almost like a little mini finale here, and I like it.
Yeah, and it is a bookend at the very least, because next up we've got a wild little white noise interlude kind of again. Very Stranger Things, and this one, yeah, again, could really use the visual for this one, but it's these two interludes are going to bookend one song in particular, and I do think that's intentional because this song has a bit of a wild ride, the one coming up, but I'm glad it was used. Spoiler alert.
Here.
Shall we talk about that song now?
Yeah, I mean, interlude one's cool. It has it is white noise, but yeah, it lets us know as listeners exactly what it needs to let us know, and that is wipe away More to Lose and get ready for this next one.
Yes, and this next one is Easy Lover. This one is the song she's been discussing the most in press interviews for it, and well, for good reason. So, this song actually dates back to the Plastic Hearts era. She didn't finish it for that album, but she kept it on her back burner. And when Beyonce wanted to collaborate with her for Cowboy Carter, Miley Cyrus sent her this song and a song called Shotgun Rider. Beyonce ended up picking Shotgun Rider to duet with her on, and that song is now known as Two Most Wanted, and fantastic song. We talked about it when we did Cowboy Carter last year, but major highlight of this a major highlight of that album, and the beautiful duet and a really nice song to have in between albums for Miley Cyrus. Uh, just real highlight duet, in my opinion. I was a little sad that Miley didn't come out during the Beyonce Bowl on Christmas to sing Two Most Wanted,
Heard
but
that.
can't have it all, I guess. But Miley still liked Easy Lover and decided to keep it, but she wondered what she would do with the Tell 'em B line. Well, she got Brittany Howard of the Alabama Shakes to play guitar on this song, which is awesome. And I mean, this one's got hit on it. Ryan Tedder's one of the co-writers of One Republic. He's done tons of stuff. I respect his work a lot. I will say that. And I have to say, having Brittany Howard on this song does give it that rootsy feel that the song has. That explains why Miley thought it would have been good for a country album. But because this is something beautiful and not Cowboy Carter, it's not a country song. It's got elements of that more of a roots rock kind of thing, but still with the high gloss pop of the other songs here. And I'd be very surprised if this isn't a single based on the early streaming numbers. This one seems to be doing the best, and I hope it is a single. I think this has hit potential. I really enjoy this song. And I think Beyonce did Miley a favor by having her save this one, because I think it works better as a solo track than as a duet.
Yeah, I'm with you. By the way, this is the single of the album. I don't care what anybody says. End of the World, you could have been second, third, but this is your single. This is how you get this album onto people's ears, period, onto people's radars, period, for me. I love it. I really love this song. There's many things that blow me away about this song. But I think I'm going to start off with it's 3 minutes and 6 seconds, and it feels like it's a 6 minute song in the best way possible. There's so much beautiful sound going on here. Really well done. Brittany Howard just kills the game. Really adds that element here. It's a very, very well orchestrated and well produced song here. I love it. There are so many different little Easter eggs for me on this album musically, some more pronounced, some less pronounced than others. Here's a hot tea take, Charlie. This is a slow Edge of 17. And it's there. So go back and have it without the just can't give it up piece. There's so much of Edge of 17 here for me. And I dig that. There's a Stevie in her regardless, and I've always loved that. But this tune is great, man. This is your single. This is your perfectly put in the middle of this album, in between two interludes, and it really well done. I've seen what I think is the visual accompaniment for this, where she's dancing in the trailer. On like a stage setting and looking wild, and it seems to line up with what I feel here. But I really enjoy this.
I mean, she does have a Stevie in her, and that's not too egregious considering the Edge of Midnight mashup of Edge of 17 and Midnight Sky from the
Heard.
Plastic Hearts era. I mean, and she mentioned Stevie in her Zane Lowe interview and about their relationship, which I love to hear that. But Stevie Nicks is a mother figure to the younger ladies of the music industry, which I love.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Because even in her Rolling Stone interview, I loved her comment on the stan culture of the internet when she said, Katy Perry was talking to me about how vicious these fans are pitting her against other singers. And I said to her, Katy, I don't have rivals. I have friends.
There you go. There
And
you
I
go.
think that a lot of us could take a page from Stevie Nicks there with all this Stan Twitter foolishness that we see now.
Heard that.
Um,
Heard that.
yeah, take a page from Stevie, who wisely unplugs. But I think Miley does that, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I agree there. I think over the years she really has found a great sense of how to do that. Again, because she was so forthcoming, but you saw a lot of that in the endless summer vacation because she was like, "This is what I do. I party. I have fun. I enjoy myself. I enjoy my music, and I don't let any of the hate in there." And I dig that.
Yeah. No, she does not. And I love to see it. She's doing her thing. And then we go into another white noise interlude with interlude 2. But I think, again, Easy Lover does have a special place on the album. It's not quite like the rest of the songs, but in a really good way. And I think that's because, again, it was proposed for two projects before this one. But it's a special song that did deserve to have a place here. And I'm sure it will be a single. I just hope it gets promoted properly and becomes an actual hit because we need something new, especially in terms of a good, like, adult contemporary kind of ballad rootsy song. We need a switch up in that regard because
Agreed.
we're hearing the same songs too much. We need a switch up.
Yeah, this interlude too. Also, I mean, I like what she's done with this and bookending Easy Lover, but it also goes gapless here, and we get this motorcycle riding off that we can hear, and I think that really is awesome coming into the next track.
Yes, and the next track is number 8, Golden Burning Sun. This one's a love song, which is good because that's where she is now. She's with Max Miranda, who helped produce most of this album. I guess they're musical soulmates as well, working together. We love to see that. And as for this song, I do really enjoy some of the lyrics on this one. Sonically, this isn't my favorite here because I just feel like we've heard these sounds already done better on the first half of the album at this point. So this one isn't quite cutting it for me, I'm afraid. I wish it did because it's got some good points to it, but doesn't all gel together enough.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's as much as I was speaking the praises of Brittany Howard too on Easy Lover, this one where she gets this feature, um, it's a little bit less than what I expect from her. I love her, and she's always been a rock and roll, or just a rockin' lady. Period. But there's a lot here sonically that just doesn't hit correctly. There's a high note that she hits on this, and it's a held note, and she hits it quite a few times. That it's just not her note. It doesn't sit well. It's not flat. It's not sharp. It's just there's so you said it correctly. On the first third of this album, we got so much more point on uh vocalism, and here it just is a little bit muddied, and things don't they fall flat, unfortunately, for this one. And I give this one a bit of a benefit of the doubt because we're coming off the interlude, so this is like an opener again for me. So I'll let it be soft, but it's tough. This might even be gun to my head. I haven't really thought about my gun to my head on this, but this might be gun to my head on this album.
I mean, I do think it's the most forgettable song,
Yeah.
at the very least. It's not a problem for the next track, which is Walk of Fame, which Brittany Howard is featured on credited because she
Yeah.
has a vocal bit on this song, and not what you'd expect from Brittany Howard vocally. She's doing her RuPaul talk here. That's what this is. And it's a disco track, which I really appreciate. And should be right up my alley just because of that. I'm like, okay, disco, we love to see that. I like that Britney's showing another side of herself, her inner diva. Really want to love this song, but there's not enough song here to justify the 6-minute length, in my opinion. And I'm having an issue with that because a good dance song should be able to sustain 6 minutes. The groove should be strong enough to make that work. If we're thinking disco, we're thinking something to be danced to for a long time in a club, but there's just not enough song here, not enough groove here. And one thing I noticed about this album, and I don't like to drag people too much for having like too many producers on an album, but all of these songs have like 5 or 6 producers credited on them. And this is the first time I think overproduction really harms a song. I think there are too many cooks in the kitchen here. A good dance song needs a simple and strong sound to it, and there's just too much going on here, and that doesn't work if we're going to be doing a disco tune.
Heard. Yeah, I'm with you. My notes literally for this are could have used some editing because I found myself as I listen to this over and over about making it 3 minutes into it and then skipping or like skipping around the track. There's a lot of cool stuff happening inside of this track, but for the 6 minutes is it's a little bit too long for this one, man. And it stinks to say. There are some cool thoughts here, and there is so much fun music to play with on a remix of this, or even using this as a basis for a club banger. There's so much possibilities here, but unfortunately, in its original form here, some cool parts, but the sum doesn't really hold up.
Nope. Unfortunate. It's a shame. I had high hopes for it with the feature, but
Yeah.
But we're gonna come down from that one with the next track, which is "Pretend You're God." I mean, it's a come down after the disco of the previous tune, which I think works if we're thinking of the concept. I suppose I see it working in terms of that. This song's just boring. Like, I can see it working visually, but the song should be enough to stand on its own where it doesn't need the visual. And this one, there's just not enough. It has a switch up around the 2-minute 50-second mark. It doesn't feel earned. This is more of an interlude than a full song. I don't think there was enough here to make this a full track. I'm sorry to say.
I'm with you. I'm with you. That's the only way this works for me here is being like, I bet you it's got some cool stuff associated with it on the visual, but it just seems almost exactly like you said, like the visual carries this. Hypothetically, we don't even know, but it seems like it's made for the visual to carry it. And for me, it just like if you're gonna make an album and not put the visual accompany it with it, like why not put this out so everyone can see exactly what's going on?
Well, she said that wasn't her decision.
Okay, all right, well. Damn, well, there you go. Damn the machine.
That was the machine.
Damn the machine. Damn you, machine. Come on. So yeah, it's tough, but on its own, it really falls flat here. Especially late in the game like this, it starts to wear on me as far as pacing for this album.
Yeah, this second half of the album, I think, really has some pacing issues, I'm afraid. And
yeah.
I don't think the next track resolves them. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
This one is Every Girl You've Ever Loved, another title that she made up on the spot to Dolly Parton. Love that she did that. Unfortunately, this song's not as good as the other title that she made up to Dolly. This song samples Work It Soul Wax remix by Marie Davidson, and it features spoken word from supermodel Naomi Campbell. So this is the gayest song on the album, if that description didn't make it clear to you. It's very...
It's Runway. I won't go too
Pure
much into my
runway.
notes, but it's Runway, man. It is pure Runway right here.
That it is. Pure runway. So off the bat, not for everybody. We'll say that. Have to say, vocally, she really lets it rip on this song. I love to hear her do that. I think that her voice is better suited to letting it rip on a more rock song than a disco song. I feel like that's where her vocals shine more. Just and Danielle Haim plays guitar on this one too. That's a cool guest as well. But once again, I think this song's overproduced, and I find Naomi Campbell's bit to be more irritating than additive. It's catchy, it gets stuck in my head, but I really wish I just don't like it.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like I didn't realize this sample. I thought it was just sounds from Planet Rock that I enjoyed, but like it is so Runway. It's the crazy part about it for me is it never climaxes. It's like it just keeps going and going and going and never bangs it out. Like she starts to belt and then we go back to nothing, or we go back to this saxophone and Naomi Campbell talking, or like it's just it's very odd. There are cool ideas here. There really are cool ideas here. There's a couple cool sounds. Again, I have to hypothetically think that this is carried by the visual. But on its own, on an album, not knowing there was any visual, this is a bad Runway song. It's I said gun to the head earlier. This isn't gun to the head, but it's not a good song. Overproduced, yes. I hate to say not a good song. I won't. This is just not. It's very, very art project Miley Cyrus here, and a little bit too much.
I'm not even opposed to art project Miley Cyrus. It's
Me
just
neither.
also, by the end of it, it's almost just Naomi Campbell speaking. And
Heard.
I mean, I do have to say this colored my perception a little bit, but if we're gonna pick somebody, we're gonna pick a model to speak on it, I would have preferred if it were one who hadn't been to Epstein's Island multiple times.
I had to do a triple take when I saw it. I was like, that doesn't say Naomi Campbell, and sure as hell did.
I'm a little surprised she's not getting a bit more flack for it, because I know Naomi said she didn't know what was happening, but it's just not a good look, and she's got some other problems. Her Wikipedia page is a wild read. Naomi Campbell.
I'll go flip side to that. I'll try to find a reason, and my only reasoning that I've found is she is, excuse my French here, but she is one of the top shit divas, like real shit diva. So I can see using her for um full on shock value, because that's what it was for me. And maybe that fits the Runway, but again, I'm reaching here on this. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
And I haven't seen if there is an explanation for why we chose Naomi Campbell, I'm not sure what it is. I would like to know. I just wish they'd gone in a different direction.
Heard.
But fortunately, she won't be on the album again, Naomi Campbell. Back to just Miley with next song, which is Reborn. Miley said this is one of her favorites on the album and that it evolved a lot. And Sean Everett, one of the producers, came up with this title and some of the words while he was sitting in church, which makes sense for a song like this once you hear it. This one, it's a disco song, but it's a slower disco song. And I mean, it's lyrically, it is a bit redundant. Great hook. Lyrically, just repeating itself a bit. There's some real good ideas here. And This is a song I won't even say it would benefit from the visual. I think there's a lot to do with this song remix wise. I think this could really benefit from some of the top DJs putting their spin on it. There's a lot to work with there, and maybe that was what they were going for. I think this is a cool track. I definitely like it better than the past couple of songs that we've heard here. But again, I don't think there's enough of a song here to quite justify its length, though I'm glad it's not as overproduced as the previous few songs.
Yeah, I'm enthralled with this song. I really enjoy it. I like all the ideas inside of it, and a little bit might come. This is the one I was talking about earlier when I said, think about Flowers as her rebirth. I almost said the word rebirth, but like her comeback song. I am convinced that the bass line, the underlying bass line for the first half of this song is very close note to note of Flowers. There's so much Flowers in here for me that it adds an extra level. Again, I might be reaching, but for me, it adds an extra level of this rebornness of the track. I challenge, or I hope everybody goes back and gives a listen to it, because maybe I'm crazy, and let me know, because I have been told I am. But there, musically, this has Flowers in it, and I dig that, and I think that's cool, especially if I have to give it one thing. By the time we get to Reborn, we really feel like we've gone almost through this metamorphosis into this new sound. Like, we're at a slower disco here, but it didn't come out of nowhere. So I have to give it, some points there as far as pacing goes. I dig this song though. I really do. I'm 100% with you on remix. I've found myself fantasizing about like what parts I could do. Like, this would be such a cool house mix, especially with Flowers dabbled in back and forth on it. It's just a neat song. As the penultimate track, it really does its job. I dig this one.
Yeah, so do I. And I mean, it's not my favorite thing, but it's a very cool song. Regardless, it is one I could see myself going back to.
Heard.
Say that. But now we're at the end of this wild little ride of an album with Give Me Love. This one, she said, was unlike any song that she'd ever written. It was inspired by a Bosch painting. So she's typically writes songs about herself, and this song ends up being about her. But really, it was an exercise for her. And she called up her collaborators from the previous album, Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson, who produced Flowers. She calls Kid Harpoon Tom Harpoon because his first name is Tom, but he goes by Kid Harpoon. I love that, by the way. Tom Harpoon. And she said, I know it's not going to be the first single, but like, let's do this. And it's a really strong album closer. I think it's a unique track, first of all. And I'm glad she used these guys again. I mean, it makes perfect sense for her to use them again after having done previous successful work with them. But I do think those guys, I feel like I underrate their production work at times. But really, they brought something to this song that's not on the other songs here, which I think in some cases just have way too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, these guys have a bit of a magic touch when it comes to putting a song together. And I think it's evident on this one, even though this isn't a single, it's a bit artsy. Still got that little element that I don't think any song here quite has, that only they can bring.
Agreed. Agreed. Not only do they bring it here, but this one, and very fitting because it is the finale here, but this one, even without knowing that it was attached to a visual accompaniment, really sings to me as a cinematic finale. It has that cinema quality in the sound, and I really enjoy that too. I this is one of my favorite tracks on the album. I really enjoy this. I don't think it, I'm with you on the fact that I don't think it could be a single because it's a little bit too much cinematic. It's a little bit too much. We're using the word artsy, so I'm just going to keep going with that. But it is really beautiful and it's really well produced and I don't know if it's a fitting end to this album per se. Um, Again, I'm hypothetically saying that it fits in with the whole visual. Um, it it's a great song, but I don't know if it's a fitting finale for this album.
I can see what you're saying, but I feel like it's at the end because there's a lightness about it that's not on the rest of this album, and I feel like it shows fully healed.
Okay, heard
That's
that.
how I see
I
it.
like that a lot. I like that's a great way to look at it.
So,
Great way to look at it.
yeah, and I know before, I feel like I said before, I hope Harry Styles works with different people in the future because these are his guys too, Harpoon and Johnson, but I take that back. Harry, keep working with them. Do something weird like this with them. But
Yeah, for real, Harry. Do some weird shit.
because I know you can, boy. I'm
Yeah,
waiting
man.
on Harry Styles 4.
Heard that. Heard
No
that.
pressure. Do what you want, but I'm waiting for it. Just saying.
Heard that.
But it's like, no, keep working with them, but do something weird like this.
Yeah,
That's
man.
that's all I'm saying. Maybe a Harry Miley collaboration.
Hey, I think we said that when we did Harry's house. I might be wrong, but
or summer vacation. Either way, they should. I think. I mean, I think even Stevie Nicks said they should work together. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, Miley did say that in one of her interviews.
heard that.
So yeah, what a cool little tune to end this album with. And now we're at the end of this wild ride of an album.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We've had some time to sit with it too.
Yes. Yes, we have. And since we've had time and we've gone through it, what is your grade for the album?
Truth, man. Miley Cyrus, something beautiful. You definitely have. She definitely has given us something beautiful here. For me, as an album, it there are beautiful parts, but there's a lot here that I have to give the benefit of the doubt that it's being accompanied by visuals. And that for me takes away a bit from the album. Once we come off of interlude 2, I feel like pacing wise, we really lose our way for a little bit. And it's not until the last two songs of the album that it really starts to feel cohesive again to me. There again, there are spots on here that I love, but as an album, I'm gonna have to give this a B minus. It was almost a C plus, but I'm digging on it today. It's just it's a really cool offering, and I have really had fun with it, but it just feels like if something's missing, and I really think that is knowing that there's a visual accompaniment and it being set up to go ahead and go along with that. So it's not the best rating for me, but still love Miley and still love parts of this album.
Yeah, I'm going to give it the C plus because even with the visual aspect, I think the songs should be able to stand on their own. I'm not
Heard.
sure all of these do. I really do have problems with the second half of the album and its pacing. I don't think it comes back together until the end.
Yeah,
And there's good ideas here, but I don't know. And I can tell that she's proud of the album, but I definitely do not agree with people saying this is her best album yet. That seems to be not an
no,
uncommon opinion. I completely disagree. I preferred both Endless Summer Vacation and Plastic Hearts to this one.
agreed. I tried not to show too much emotion when we opened with that. People saying this is their best album, and you did well with saying, "Well, we'll see about that." But Really? Like really? There, I don't know, man. Endless Vacation was such, for me, a much more cohesive beast, and like a beast it was, you know?
It was, and it was more mainstream and poppy than this one, but it worked.
Yeah.
Like, the songs were there, but she's saying that she thinks this is her best album, and unfortunately, she doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of Plastic Hearts, which makes me sad, but that's.
Hey, you never know. It might be a cult following once everybody gets to see the visuals for it. She said she thinks this is their best album. That's
Yeah.
cool as an artist, though, because that means she's really having a ball with it. And I hope she keeps making more. Here's
Oh,
to
I'm
number 10.
sure.
You
I am
know?
sure she will. It's pretty wild that. I mean, this is her ninth album, and she's 32. I think she's got a lot more to go because she's definitely a creative force.
I can't believe it's been 2 years since we did Endless Summer Vacation, because
I
we
know.
did that on the week it came out, right?
Yeah, we did.
That's so wild.
We did.
So wild.
What's your favorite tune on here?
It's a tough one for me, but I'm gonna go Easy Lover.
Uh, good choice. I'm gonna go with End of the World.
Yeah, that's my second.
Really? End of the World?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, it's a banger, folks. Check it out. Because it's better than some of the other shit I've been hearing this year. Sorry to say, but
Yeah, no, even with my gun to the head, it still is on its own one of my, it's up there. It's up there.
it's a good one. But this, in case if you've been following us, if you're not first time listener, this was a bit of a break for us because we wanted to do this album, but we were in the middle of our 2005 series celebrating albums that turned 20 this year, and we've done 2 so far. And we put up a poll with 4 albums, and that poll, we got a freeway tie. Tried to break it, then it was a 2-way tie. So instead of breaking that tie, we're just going to do both of the albums that the listeners picked, and I think we're both getting our way, Cory and I. So
There you go. There you go.
we're both getting our way, and I felt like it being Pride Month, it felt like an appropriate time to do one of the albums next, and that is going to be Madonna's Confessions on the Dance Floor.
Yeah,
Crazy to
man.
think that turned 20 this year, but it did. I'm very excited to discuss it.
Heard that. But back to Madonna. I mean, me and you, we're pretty much talking about Madonna every once in a while, so it's always an exciting one, and we both know a bit about the lady, so it's going to be a good one.
Yes, it is. Very much looking forward to doing Confessions on the Dance Floor. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you're listening, leave us a nice rating and review, and follow us on social media. Links are in the description. And try not to get too hung up on us until next time.
Peace.